Okay, now you can hear me talking. So again, on Flickr is a good place that you can download images. But one of the things you'll notice, it says any license here. See that? But what if I want to use that in my design? Well, they do have, and if you are a photographer, you can place images on Flickr yourself and let other people use them. Have you heard of the Creative Commons? Anybody heard of Creative Commons? Yeah. Creative Commons was sort of a licensing way of you as an artist being able to distribute your work for other people can use it. With you can retain a copyright, but you're letting other people use it for whatever purposes they want. This is mostly Creative Commons on Flickr. If you click here on the any license here and change that, you'll notice it says commercial use and modification. What mods allowed means modification. So again, the pull down menu is right here. If you go down there, in general, you can use these pictures in your designs. If you click on it, there is maybe some more copyright information there that you might need to give them credit, right? A lot of photographers, they want credit. You love this rose. Look at that beautiful rose right there. Wouldn't that be great in your design? Well, if I scroll down, you see it says some rights reserved. You can see the Creative Commons license right there. That is the Creative Commons license. And then you can click on that and read it, and it'll tell you, you are free to what? I am free to copy and redistribute this photo. See that? Remix, transform, and build upon the material. There you go. So I can use that photo. It's right there. So how do I download that picture? Well, on Flickr, you'll notice that there is a download button that's down here in the lower right corner. See the little arrow right there? It's like a little arrow pointing down. If you click on that arrow, it'll take you to different sizes. And of course, you can always start with the large size and crop it. Remember how we were cropping inside of Photoshop? You make it any size you want using the crop tool in Photoshop. So I'm going to click on the big one. Boom. It's asking me where to save it. You can save it on your computer. Just hit save. Where does it go? It goes to your downloads folder. I'll show you where the downloads folder is in a minute. Let's get one more photo because we need 2 photos today. Let's get one more. I'm going to go. How about we type in, which one? Potato. 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 You're making me hungry already. There we go. Potato. 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 Uh-oh. Any license? What should I do? Change that. I want commercial use and modification allowed over here. Boom. Come over there. Ooh, look at this guy, Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head. Oh, what a cute kid picking a potato. Oh, here's some cooked potatoes. There we go. Delicious looking cooked potatoes. Again, I'm going to download that, and I will show you how to put it in your folder in a minute. To download that, we click down here in the lower corner, and I'm going to go original size again. It's going to ask me, don't open in preview. We can hit save. You could open it automatically in Photoshop if you want, if you're working. But for right now, I'm not doing that. But remember, on a Mac, there is an open with, and I use a right-click a lot. To right-click, and then you can choose what application. So, did you see how to download, how to find copyright images that you can use? You ready to move on? Okay. So think about that. We'll talk a little bit about more copyright. I tend to take my own pictures if I can. And, you know, I take a lot of photos. Probably take 20 to 30 photos a week. Sometimes people, sometimes just products, sometimes hands. Hand photographer. Biggest problem is I had a burn mark on my wrist, and I was taking photos, and you could see the burn mark on my wrist. Hey, little what tool in Photoshop? The rubber stamp tool they used to call it. I forget, the clone tool now. Clone, ouch. Okay, so I'm going to quit the browser right now for just a moment so I can show you how to, or you can minimize the browser. I think I showed you that last class, right? There's a couple options up here in the upper corner. So if I have Firefox running, you can see it right there. See how Firefox is running? If I want to just minimize it to keep the browser still running but get to the operating system, I could go up to where it says Firefox up here and say hide Firefox. Do you see that right there? Right there, it's like the 4th one down. If I say hide Firefox, it hides it. It's still running, it's just minimized. How do I know it's still running? If you roll your cursor down in the dock, you'll see there is a black dot that shows up right here above your thing. You can barely see it. It's almost there. There it is. There. See the little black dot right there? That means it's still running. It's okay. I have multiple programs running, and you can jump back and forth between them in the dock. Right now we're in the Finder. Where is my pictures at? Well, it puts my pictures over here in this area over here. I'm going to put them into my folder. See them over here? They're right here in this little area over here. To move them into my folder, I'm going to click, and I can drag them from, see this little arrow right here, this little thing? So I can drag them, I can click on them and put them in my folder. See how I drag it into my folder? Boom. I'm going to drag them in my folder. Boom. So put them in your name.
Okay, let's get the canvas.
Canvas. So you don't need to log into Canvas. You can just listen if you want right now. Okay. You don't need to download. I know last class we downloaded something from Canvas. But again, you've already got photos, so you just stole off the internet. You can use in our lesson today. So you don't need to use Canvas unless you don't want to find photos or whatever you want to do. So I'm going to log into Canvas. And then here are classes here. And we already started looking at some of this. I'm kind of redoing most of the class, so there's some assignments. If you go to the assignment section in Canvas, you'll see there's some basic assignments here, but then you'll see down here there's old assignments. See that?
Yeah.
We're not going to do these. These are kind of old. Rewriting them. Over the past, I've been doing this class for 7 years, 8 years maybe. I find some things work better than others, and I like to revise it. Okay, so again, I will show you a lot of really fine quality final projects. That's what you should inspire to get to. The kiosk from the Caltrans, I think, was a really good one. I think I showed you that one last class, and then maybe or at least part of it. This one that's up here on the board is a really good one. So try and strive to make a really good project, and then you use that in your portfolio. Usually when Gene teaches the portfolio class, usually the UX design stuff is dominant in the portfolio, because it's kind of like a whole project that shows your design skills from beginning to end. So. Again, you do see some assignments for the first kind of 3 weeks right here. I'll revise some, probably not this weekend, going boating. Next week, though, plenty of time. If you go to the syllabus, it kind of has the basic information that you should all know as far as the West Valley College. We have a section number. You see my name there. This is my phone number in my office, but of course, again, you can meet me after class at any time. That's when my office hours are. Here's my email address. Here's the dates for the class. I know it says 2018. I didn't change the date. How about that? Whoosh. We started on the 26th? Look at that. How about we put a 9 there, and we put a 9 there. There we go. Oh, look at that. Updated the syllabus. There we go. The time is the same. Again, there isn't our class in here, so we usually try to end at 10:45. This course focuses on creating quality user experience and design responsive web solutions and apps. What does that mean? Well, we talk about responsive web solutions, and we will learn about the history of what we call responsive design, which means that, when this thing came out, it kind of changed the world. So it was a problem, right? Because us web designers back in 2007, 2008, we were making all kinds of websites for this thing that had standard size. 2024 across by 768 down. I made websites that size for 10 years. So most monitors were, right? Then this thing came along, and of course, boom, boom, boom. Screen is all different sizes, right? And again, Android has probably about 20 different sizes, and you're going to have to learn them. I would teach you the dimensions. Apple has 4. And you're going to learn to make graphics that fits those screens properly. That's part of this class is that, hey, do I know how to make a graphic that fits that screen properly? We will learn. The software helps you. Sketch and Photoshop and Illustrator, they all have the ability to export the file out for the appropriate size. It does it for you. So, hey, it's good to calculate though and make your own. But again, this thing kind of changed it. So what happened was there was a article that came out in A List Apart. If you don't know the website A List Apart, it's a website that's based upon people that make websites, and it's like a blog for people that post information. Well, a guy on A List Apart, I may have been a woman as well, I don't know. But the person on the List Apart made a website that was responsive, what he called responsive. What that means was it changed the size of the website according to the screen size. Right? And so we will learn those concepts in this class and how to deal with that. And it's not that difficult, but you need to understand the concepts behind it. It's most important. What it really came down to is the way that HTML was written. They wrote into HTML for people with accessibility issues. Or somebody with accessibility issues, somebody who can't see the screen, right? Or their site is poor and they need to blow it up and make it bigger. Or they need to hear it. Or the keyboard needs to have Braille on it. You know Braille, right? A Scottish person invented Braille. That's his last name, Braille. What's his last name? Scottish. In fact, we used to have a keyboard in the DESP lab here. They have a computer. They used to. I used to take my students, my web design students, over there, and I would have them surf the internet without seeing. We had to go and listen, and it would read to them. There's a software called JAWS that reads to them. But not only did it read to them, but on the keyboard, as it was reading to them, it would do the Braille, would pop up on the keyboard. So there was a strip along the bottom of the keyboard here. It went along the bottom. And the Braille dimples would come up as it's reading to them, and so they can feel it and hear it at the same time. So to get back to my point, what they learned to do is take the things that were built into that and use them for responsive design. So that's sort of the technology behind it. Was there was code that was written into CSS and HTML that allowed the screen to change sizes for accessibility. And we thought, we're designers. We could use that same code to resize the screen for everybody. And so, but that's the foundation of where responsive design came from, where the size changing of screens came from accessibility. Little history lesson there. I'm sorry. The course also explores what makes apps and websites work across different devices. Again, we just talked about that somewhat. And UX design and human-computer interface experiences are explored. What does that mean is that we're going to do a lot of research into what works and what doesn't work online. And you know, I think probably one of the greatest things is to find out what doesn't work. And I do that constantly. Yesterday, I wrote a report that had 5 things that I did not like about a website. 5. And I take screen grabs. Remember I showed you how to do screen grab? Boom. I'm taking screen grabs. I'm doing screenshots of the thing. So doing that is important. Again, you will create a presentation. You saw the sample, the final project that's on the board. We will learn to make icons for the iOS and Android. Some of us said we're Android. Who's Android again? Some of us are iOS. Okay, we will learn both. How do I make things fit on both computers? Icons. What is an icon? It's a little, the little shapes. We'll write questions for interface review. What that means is part of this class will be research. We will write questions of what is working, what is not. We will learn how to write questions because when you're reviewing designs, you need to phrase the question in a certain way that you get the response you want from the user. Okay? Choose the appropriate typefaces and color. Right? You saw that in the example there. Use software to create artwork. That's what we were doing in Photoshop or Sketch. We would sketch mind maps. What is a mind map? Well, here if we look at, is that right over there? What do you think? Is that right? It is right. Sorry. So when we're doing our planning, you'll see that we plan our designs in a flow. So you're not just designing one thing. When we're designing apps and we're designing websites, you need to design a flow. How would the user go from one screen to the other? Okay, so you can see the example here. And we usually plan it with paper and pencil or marker on the board. Because then you can have multiple people working and thinking at it at the same time. You guys will be working together to come up with designs on the board. I do this all the time. I do that with you here at school. I do it at work. Okay. Anything else? We'll learn what a prototype is at the very end. I will show you how to take your designs and make them into a working model that will work on your phone so that you can go and have somebody test it. So without having to do all the programming behind it. What I mean by that is there's software out there. Sketch does as well as there's a software program from Adobe that does it, the UX or User Experience Designer. And you take your design ideas and you put them together in a flow chart. Then you export it out and it shows up on your phone. Right? It doesn't have the functionality of a real app. It's just the screens that you make. Then you can give it to a friend and then they can test it and give you feedback. Does that look like it works? Do you know where to click? Those kind of things. We will learn how to put that on there as prototype. There's a lot of app prototypes out there. Sketch does it as well as Apple. Adobe has one.
Is it Adobe InDesign?
InDesign. No, we use that's user experience. UX or no. XE or EX.
There's one XD.
Experience XD, that's it. That will make prototypes very easily. I will show you how to do that. Okay, so you want to be able to test what your ideas are. A lot of people just do their sketches too. A lot of people, you'll see a lot of videos online where they just take their sketches that they did, not even doing Photoshop or Illustrator, they just take the sketch and make that a prototype so that people can just interact with the sketch. Again, we'll learn how to write personas, which is basically who is my user of my app. And I will talk about that. And then, of course, the wireframe is the same thing you see on the screen, which is more of a line drawing of your design ideas. There's no book for class. Mostly, again, we'll do recordings like we did today, like we're doing today. Again, if you want to buy the Sketch app, it only works on Mac. Sorry, Windows users. But I'm sure there's Windows versions of something similar. But here's the Sketch app. And then, of course, if you want to purchase Adobe, you can purchase that. Where else can I use? The Success Center. Okay, if you don't have the software, we have a tutorial center. In the tutorial center, they have computers that look just like this, with the software on there that you can use. In addition, we have a great tutor. Her name is Grace. She will meet you once a week for an hour. And she will sit down and show you. She knows how to use all the applications. She knows all the programming if you're in the web design class. She knows all the HTML. She knows CSS. The only thing she doesn't really know is the app programming, the Swift. But we're not in app class yet. I have a different tutor for that, for the programming for an app. But she does everything else, so I recommend highly. This week, you should sign up today, right after class. Go to the Success Center. Tell them what class you're in, this class, and have a list, and just say you want Grace. That's all you have to say, okay? And again, Grace will meet you once a week. She's very helpful. Again, they have all the computers that look like this. She'll sit down with you and help you for an hour once a week. Sometimes she does it as teams, so maybe if there's 2 or 3 of you in this class, you go over and she'll work with a group of you all at one time. So I highly recommend it. Again, Success Center is in the library. Or you can come and see me after class. I have plenty of time after class to help you. Okay? Okay, usually I grade all assignments with 10 points, and I do it in Canvas. You do an assignment, and you upload to Canvas. You don't have anything to do till next week, so don't stress right now. Okay. We'll do it together again next week, so don't worry about that. Again, I'm still rewriting the assignments for the semester. I got the first 3 weeks kind of figured out. Okay. So mostly this first 2-3 weeks, we will learn the basics of Photoshop. The ones that we need for this class. I know you've taken other classes. You might have taken Sue's class, you might have taken Jean's class, you might have taken Stacy's class, whatever. We all teach Photoshop a little bit differently in different skills. We learn in my class the ones we need. How to resize things, how to duplicate things, the things you see in an interface. We'll learn how to make shapes, how to make a button. What is a good button? What words do I use in a button? Submit button. Do you submit or got it? We'll talk about the words, right? You guys all fill out interfaces in your life, right? You fill out a form online and it says submit or send it or this. So we'll learn how to build buttons like that. So that's the Photoshop skills you'll learn. You'll have to think a little bit, sketching in the computer as well as on a piece of paper. Layout and flow. So again, I see the first 2 weeks is more learning the basics like we're doing right now. The third and fourth week, we'll learn more about how to take our ideas and get them into the computer. One of the biggest challenges we have, and you'll even notice again on the thing up here, I don't know if that slides. No, that doesn't slide. I probably should have put that on the sliding one. There's some drawings up there. I'm going to want you to think about things and draw them, but how do I get that drawing into the computer? And we'll learn how to take our ideas and get them into the computer. Layout and flow. In the fifth and sixth weeks is how do I make screens that go from one screen to the other properly, just like I was saying. And then personas and writing, and then of course making a design proposal, and then your final proposal. That's kind of how I see it. Again, the final proposal is like the last few weeks of class. We do that in multiple steps where you have an idea and then we work with you to revise that idea into a final design. Your SLO is how to make a wireframe. We will learn how to do what's called a wireframe. Here's the schedule of classes. This is the important dates. And then here's the basic West Valley stuff about the distance ed, Canvas, your password, getting help. I just told you about the Student Success Center. Great place to go to get help. There's your unlawful discrimination, sexual harassment information there. Your West Valley Counseling and Health Center. There's a new student center over there. It has everything under one building. Smoking, you don't smoke on campus. If you want to smoke, go to the parking lot. If there's an accident on campus, this is the plan they have. I don't know what that means, but I put it in my syllabus anyways. It's in everybody else's. And then, of course, here's the alert. If there's something happening on campus, you can sign up for the alert, and it'll text you. In addition, the phone rings in the room. If there's an alert on campus, I can pick it up and get instructions. In addition, we can lock the door. I know it's all glass there. And I can't change the design of the room. I would have probably made it a room that was all glass, but hey, that's what we're forced with. But we can't lock the door. What else do we got? Plagiarism, stuff like that. And then there's a list of assignments. Again, these assignments aren't correct here. The assignments you should look at are the ones under assignments here, and you'll see the list up here. And then the ones that we're not using here. Any questions so far? Okay. Where are we at? Most of the information is, again, under modules. I'm going to be brief so we can get to doing Photoshop skills today. I'll be real brief again. The one I really want to talk about will be your under lesson 1, the discussion. So again, I think I talked about this last guy. The discussion is where you read something, do something, upload it, and then you can look at what other people have uploaded and write comments. Again, you need to learn to look at designs and give people feedback in writing form and not just talking, in writing form. So your first lab here, and we call it lab because you do it outside of class. The part of class where you're doing your own part. In this discussion, we'll review articles on Airbnb design template. Then you find an app or find it, and we'll talk about design templates next week, a lot more. On your phone or on a screen, on a computer screen is fine. What I'm looking for is for you to find the design that you like and take at least 3 screens. I don't know, did I say 3 screens? Take a couple screens, I guess, and write about why you like that app. In your own words, not design words. I think this app works great because it helps me find my friends. Snapchat, maybe.
Who uses Snapchat?
Doesn't it have like where your friends are located? I find, hey, my friend is over here, and my friend is over there. I don't know. So the most important thing is that you're learning how to take screen grabs. The whole point of this whole thing is that you know how to take a screen grab. Again, on the computer, you'll see it here. How we do it on the computer, Command-Shift-4, and your cursor turns into a crosshair, and then you can draw across, and it takes that sound. Did you hear that? Let me do it again. Command-Shift-4. Let's say you love Canvas. Canvas is the greatest design ever. I love the way the navigation is on the left side here. You're writing about that. Command-Shift-4. Draw a box across the design. Here we go. Release your mouse. Where does it go? Well, it goes on the desktop. How do I get to it? Well, again, you need to learn to minimize your application. If you remember from before, in our Firefox over here, see the Firefox over here? If I click and hold that down, I can say hide Firefox. Do you see that? Again, the same spot. Go to my desktop and you can see, here's my screen grab. Right here, see that? And it's right there. So that shows you a picture of the screen. And then what can I do with that picture of that screen? Well, I can upload that to the discussion. How do I do that? Well, if you go back to your discussion here, and if I go into student mode, I don't know how to get into student mode. There should be a submit option in there. Oh, there it is. Upload 3 screen grabs in Canvas and write about the flow. Did you know what to touch on? So on. Just write in your own words. There should be a submit area where you upload. I don't know. I have to go into student. Settings. There we go. Settings. Student view. There we go. I got the wrong one. Am I in student view? I think I'm in student view. Modules. Oh, there we are. Where are we at? Discussion. And then, isn't there a way to upload an image? Did I not put how to upload an image? What is this? Collapse, reply, read. No? Let me see. Maybe I didn't set it up right. Oh, maybe I didn't set it up right. Hold on. Oh, I didn't. Hold on. Allow frame reply. Users must post. Graded. Is there a way to put it? Let's put. Uh-oh. See, I didn't set it up right. That was my mistake. We'll make it due in 2 weeks from now. Usually you have like 2 weeks to do everything. Okay, now let's see. Well, let me upload something. Hold on. Settings. See student view again. Okay, no. How about if I go to modules? And then template. Settings. I don't see no student view. Didn't I have an option for student view last time? And is there a way to upload? Or you see student view? Oh, here's student view, thank you. And then we went to this one. Is there a way to upload an image? I swear there used to be. Apply. Am I missing it? Do you guys see any upload options?
Oh, I think
Next to unread.
This one? It's upload? No, just a
Oh,
I think when I click to reply, it's
Oh, there we go. If you hit reply,
attached.
oh, there's embed image. There it is. Okay, so what I'm looking for you to do is find the app you like. Remember how to take a screen grab on your phone, right? You guys know how to do that. Or maybe a web page and upload some screen grabs and just write about what you like about that app and how does it flow and if it works. Maybe put one that doesn't work and you hate. I had a lot of students who hated is it Snapchat. What's the other one like Snapchat? Not Instagram. There's another one. The one with it looks like a ghost. There's that Snapchat.
that is Snapchat.
That is Snapchat? Okay. I had a lot of students, this was maybe a couple years ago, maybe Snapchat got better, but boy, they said the interface was so hard to use, they couldn't figure it out. And they would write about Snapchat in here. So you don't have to put a good one here. You can put a bad one that you don't like and say, hey, I don't like this. Okay. We can talk about it next week. So do that by next week so we can talk about it, okay? Okay, let's move on. We're running out of time. So hopefully you can figure that out. I'm sorry. I can post things, but you leave student view. Okay, again, this week, as far as assignment, was where we left off last class, which was the screen measurement. We're going to do this all over again today. We started last week. We're going to do the same thing we did last class. Let me stop my video, and we'll start again so you have a clean video from the beginning of the demo, okay? Let me stop this. Okay, again, my demo will be this handout right here. We don't need to follow the handout. I've done it multiple times. You can follow it on your own. You can watch the video. Mostly, again, we're going to be measuring everything in this class in pixels. And what's pixel short for? The term pixel is short for? You can click the link and maybe find it. Picture element. Okay, pixel is short for the term picture element. And again, it's where we build things out of squares, tiny squares called pixels. And then, of course, here's a display and the resolution. Resolution refers to how many dots are in the screen, like on this screen right here, or on your phone, or on your Android. And remember, there's all kinds of different sizes and different dots, and we'll have to learn to deal with all of those. It's not that hard, kind of scientific. A lot of it's mathematical. You know, if your dimension's this size, then it needs to be this size. If it's this size and this screen, it needs to be this size. And you can figure it out, calculate it. Then we talked about RGB and so on. And we talked about using Photoshop. And then remember the zoom factor in Photoshop. We opened up a file. We cropped it. Today we're going to use our flowers because we got flowers off the internet, right? And then we will use our move tool and we will duplicate. And then we will talk about layers. We will duplicate it across the screen. That's kind of where we left off, right? Duplicating across the screen, right? We'll do that again. Then we will make a rectangle. A lot of what we do in class, in this class specifically, is we use the shape option because those are interface elements. These are shapes, right? You're making a button, you want a shape there. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll put some text on there, hopefully, and that'll be it. And then we'll save it. So let's get started. Again, I'm going to minimize Word here, and I'm going to minimize Firefox here. And again, I'm just going to use Photoshop, go all the way down to the very bottom, the big PS for Photoshop. So start Photoshop. A lot of times where you start Photoshop, you'll notice it has similar ones that were here previously. Probably yours looks different because you don't have the same designs that were on my computer that you have. Okay? Mostly what we do in this class is we talk about screen size. Screen size is usually measured in pixels. To get to the screen size inside of Photoshop, we start with the File, New. File, New. That's how you make a new file. File, New. And we're going to type in 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels at 300 pixels per inch, RGB, because we're making it for screen and white. So it might still have the same settings you had from last class. If you don't have the same settings under the File New, just type them in. Orientation doesn't matter because it's going to be square, right? So that doesn't really matter. But sometimes you might want a portrait or landscape, right? These terms we call them portrait, landscape. But it's square, so it doesn't really matter. So type those in, 1,000. Make sure it says pixels over there, not inches. Woo! Can you imagine 1,000 inches? Some of you did that last class when I came over and I saw your little wheel was going, right? Because it was frozen, because the computer can't handle 1,000 inches by 1,000 inches. It's too much for it. So if that happens to you, you can force quit Photoshop or whatever and start over. Everybody cool with that? You ready to move on? Okay. I'm going to hit OK. Or create, I'm sorry. There's no create. Create, and you got a big white square. Remember the zoom factor. This is the most important thing up here. See the zoom factor in the upper left corner? It says 50%. Is this the size of the box on a website? On this screen? No. And when it's at 100%, is what size it'll be on this screen. Again, it's the screen you're on. That percentage that's up there doesn't relate to this. It's only the screen that you're on. Because this will be totally different. It has a different resolution than the screen. Again, we're going to open up an image and crop it. If you remember how to open, we go underneath File, Open. File, Open. And we want to get to our photos on the desktop. So again, once you have this window open, this is the File Open window inside of Photoshop, you'll notice there is a desktop option that's over here. Click on desktop. You should have made a folder on the desktop that has your name on it, right? And we put some flowers that we downloaded off the internet, copyright ones, right? Do you remember that? Grab one of those flowers. I'm going to grab that beautiful rose. Do you remember that? So again, in the File Open is Desktop. In Desktop, it should take you to where you made a folder on the desktop. You should have some kind of image in there that you downloaded off the internet, and then hit Open.
What size should we have made it?
Well, we haven't changed the size yet.
Which one were we supposed to download?
Anyone. It doesn't matter what photo you have. Doesn't matter. Any photo. Because we're going to make it a specific size using the crop tool, right? So any picture you have doesn't matter. The most important thing is you know that there's tabs at the top of the screen. Do you see these tabs? Boom, 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 boom. See these tabs? You have two files open at the same time. I work with sometimes 10, 20 files open at the same time. Whoosh, hard to manage. It is. One thing about Photoshop is they don't make that easy. That's one place where I believe that they could really improve is how to deal with multiple files open at the same time. Sketch does it really well. They have like a layered option where you can click, click, click to which one you want. Okay, so I'm on my flower, and again, just like last class, we want to use the crop tool. So we use the crop tool a lot. The crop tool is the fourth one down in your toolbar. So if you notice here, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one down. Sorry, I lied. Fifth one down. Do you see that one? It's called the crop tool. I use that every day. Like I said, I use it every day. If I click on it, it'll allow me to put in some numbers. Again, at the very top up here is where your toolbar is, and this is where you can adjust things. And what I want to do is start where it says W, X, and H plus resolution. This one right here. If you don't see that, a lot of times it might be on a standard, 5:7 photo or something like that, 6:9, because the video guy, the video teacher is using 6:9 for the video class. But we're using width and height that I can type in my own resolution, my own size, right? And so once I go to W plus H plus resolution right here in the pull down menu, I'm going to put a 250px by 250 px at 300 dpi. That's going to be a quarter, basically a quarter size of my other one, or at least we're going to put 4 of these across the screen. Remember how we duplicated last time, right? So we want this. So again, look at the top, up at the very top up there. Again, this tool right here is called the crop tool. And you have a resolution, height, and width, 2px, make sure it's pixels. Don't want to use inches. Whoosh. And then you can adjust the size by putting your cursor along the edge here and dragging. See this? And if you make a mistake, oh, watch this. If I go like this and I make a mistake and what key do I fix? Escape. Watch when I hit escape. It goes back. Okay, so if you have things go crazy on you, like this, you're like, look at the keyboard, the one in the upper left corner, escape, boom, you're back. I still do that all the time. I often hit escape. So again, you can make it smaller. When you're done, hit this move tool, the one that's very top, the one that looks like 2 arrows. When you're done, you got it looking the way you want, click on that, boom, it says, do you want to crop? What do you think we're going to say? Crop. Then it looks tiny. Again, zoom factor. Think of zoom factor. Look at the zoom up there at the very top. 16.7%. Do you see that way up there at the very top? 16.7%. That's not showing you. It's zoomed all the way out. To zoom in, we use Command plus on the keyboard. So let's look at the keyboard. We're going to use a lot of the keyboard commands. Do you see the one that looks like command? It has like a little squiggly line and it's the word command on there. I'm going to hold that down with my left hand finger. Then I'm going to go with my right finger and hit the plus. The plus is next to the delete key. So if I hit that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100%. Boom. Do you see that? When it's at 100%, this is what size the flower will be on my website on this screen. Again, on this screen only. If I save this and I put it on a website and I looked at that website on my phone, it's going to be a different size. It'll be the square like that, but it's just not going to be exactly what you see here. It's going to be squished down and changed and stuff. Okay, we want to copy this and put it in our blank one that we first made. Do you remember that? What was the keyboard commands from last class? Do you remember how to copy from this area to the other one?
Command A controls. Command C controls.
Yes. You were all right. Command A first, like he said there. So we hit Command A. What does that do? That selects all. A stands for all. And remember, what were these called?
Marching ants.
Marching ants. Remember I used the crazy term marching ants? So Command A. Command C for copy. Hold the Command key down and hit C. Then we're going to go over to this one over here, the blank one that we just made, and hit Command V for Victor. It might come up with the profile. Don't worry about that right now. I don't know why, because it's going from sRGB to generic RGB, whatever. I don't know. We're going to have to, don't worry about that right now, and hit OK. And it should put it right in the center of the screen. Remember, we still have the Move tool selected. Always go back to the Move tool. And once you have the Move tool, one thing you'd be very careful of is there's a little thing in the middle here. See this little thing in the middle? That's like a pivot point. And it thinks if you move that, it thinks you want to rotate or move that. Try and avoid that thing. That thing is not going to help you. If you don't see the squares around the edge, when you're using the Move tool, do you see where it says Show Transform Controls? Make sure that's clicked on. Then you can see the little squares that allow you to change the size and do things with it. But that's okay. Again, try to avoid this thing. If you move that thing, hit escape again. Again, the magic key, if you make a mistake, like this, watch. I'm trying to move this, and I click on this thing, and I didn't move it. I moved the rotate. This is like a rotate thing. See, if I try and rotate, look at that. It's going to rotate it around that thing. I didn't want to do that. Hit escape. Goes back to normal. Again, I do that all the time. Escape is I make mistakes all the time on the computer. Let's duplicate it across. Again, I'm going to move it. Try to avoid that thing in the middle. I'm going to click kind of here and move it around. I'm going to kind of start right about there. I'm going to move it over there. Don't worry about dimensions yet. We'll learn how to make a grid on our screen that has the proper sizes, because we make grids so that they're the correct size for certain things. Did everybody move it? You cool? I don't need to come over. You want me to help you? I'll come and help you now. No. And A. And Z. Blank one. And B. There you go. And then use the shift transform controls. And then now you can move it. You need a mouse on that. How are you going to use a pen? Hit escape first. Okay, now type in 250 EX and 250 space EX and then 300 next one. And then hit the top one. No, one more up. That one. Good. It says crop. Say crop. There you go. Remember, it's tiny now. How to make it bigger? And left. There you go. And then to copy to the other one, what are the keyboard commands? Command A, Command C, go to the other one, Command V. And when you're moving it, you can say show transform, it'll have little boxes around it. One more up. And then you can click and move that around. No, that's gonna inside. There you go. You'll get used to that. You do that every day. I don't know. I move things every day. Okay, let's duplicate it across. What's the magic key on the keyboard?
Command.
Option or Alt. Right? Windows people would be Alt, but very good. So to the magic, it is the most magical key, Option or Alt. Again, I'm putting my dot in the center. Avoid that thing in the middle. Don't touch that. Don't touch the edges. It thinks you want to scale, scale, scale. Somewhere in the middle here, hold on the Option key on the keyboard. Notice my cursor changes to a black arrow with a white arrow. And I'm going to click with the left mouse and drag. I'm going to make 1, 2. Oh, this keyboard, this mouse is evil. I know it has a certain setting on there that does that. So you should be able to Option, click, and drag. It's called duplicate. It's called duplicate. Very useful. Very useful. I use it in everything. I use it in Illustrator. I use it in Photoshop. Use it in InDesign. Use it in Sketch. Works in Sketch the same way. We got 4 of them. Line them up. Move them around. Practice the move tool. Okay, next we're going to make a shape or a header. Usually, again, when we're making designs, you need to know the terms. The terms is usually the top part up here at the top of your website or your app or whatever, even the app, on the header. Even in Microsoft Word, it's called header too. And here we usually have the content. And at the bottom down here, we usually call that footer. So that's what most designs are called right there. So again, the header, the top part up there, I'm going to use the shape layer. Most of the things that I do inside of Photoshop is use what we call the shape layer. Shape layer is this one over here. If you go, and I know yours is different than mine because I don't, there we go, I'll do double. You guys have a double toolbar? Most of you have double toolbar with 2 sides going down, right? Okay, I'll try and stick with double. If you notice here, under the text tool, there's a line right here. Underneath the line tool, if you hold your left mouse down over that, you'll see these are called shape objects, shapes. And I use these for interfaces because they're objects that I can scale and change and do things with that at pixels you can't do very well. So I use most of these for my interface design in Photoshop. Again, if you don't see these shapes, they're underneath the text tool. You hold your mouse down over, if it's a line, it might be a rectangle, it doesn't really matter. If you hold the mouse down, you'll see there's a whole bunch of, and we use custom shapes a lot in this class because we can put icons in the custom shapes and so on. The one I want to use is basically a plain rectangle. If I choose the plain rectangle, you'll notice if I go up to the very top, the first option should say shape right here because I want to make a shape. There's other things called paths and pixels, and we don't want to do that right now. I want to do shape. This is the inside the color of my shape, and this is the line that goes around it. Right now there's no line. Do you see how there's red line going through there? It's called stroke. There's no line in my shape. This is the size of my line. We don't have a line, so it doesn't really matter. So what's the most important thing is to choose a color, though. Right now it's white. If I do it on a white background, I'm not going to be able to see it very well. So if you click again here where it says fill, I'm going to click there. You'll notice it comes up with this box right here. This is kind of like a standard palette. Okay, we can just choose colors there. We're going to learn about how to dial colors. I think we had RGB on the screen last class. Do you remember that? 0 to 255, 0 to 255, 0 to 255, red, green, and blue. Remember that? Some of us might. I did have RGB. 0 to 255, 0 to 255, 0 to 255. This is referred to as 24-bit. How many colors is that? How many colors can I get in this box? More than that. 16 million different colors. Okay, so you can choose 1 out of 16 million different colors in this box here. How do I do that? Here, this upper corner right here. See this little finger up here in the upper corner right here? If I click on that, it gives me there. If you go down, this is the standard color picker. See that little box up there? That's what I click on. If I come down here, you'll notice here's my RGB 255. Do you see it? So if I want pure red, I put 0, 0 here, and I'll get pure red. Watch that. I can go over here and type in 0, 0. Whoosh. Look at that. Pure red. Or if I want pure white, or pure black, 0, 0, 0. Pure white was 255, 255. Pure green, 255. Pure green. Okay, so all the colors in the computer. Then you see these crazy numbers coming up down here. These numbers are kind of what we used to call the web colors. These are hexadecimal values that we use in web programming. So you should learn how to deal with the standards color picker and why it's important to you. We will learn it as we go along. You'll learn to make your own color palettes too. And things like that. Okay, everybody got a color? Did you find a color? Any color. Or just pick one from there. Doesn't matter. Hit OK. And then you can use the tool. Now when I make an object, when I make an object, I usually start from the upper left to the lower right. You can do it any way you want. So I want a big green shape that goes across the top. I'm going to put my cursor on all the way up here in the upper left corner, and I'm going to click and hold the left mouse down and drag, and I'm going to release the mouse, and I get a big green shape that goes across. If the properties comes up, let's close that for now. So I get a big green shape. So again, we use the shape objects a lot. Now I'm going to put some text in there because I'm making a website about flowers. So maybe I want to put in flowers up there. One thing to avoid, and this is an evil thing about Photoshop, is if you're using the text tool and you have a shape that's selected. See how it's selected? What do you mean by selected? It has this little blue, see the little blue thing around the edges there and stuff, right? It means it's still selected. What that means is that it thinks you want to take that text and attach it to that box. and I don't want the text to be attached. I want the text to be a floating, separate object than the box. And I don't know why they did this, but that's what they've done. And you have to live with what Adobe does because they're the programmers of the software. So in order to put my text on my screen, I'm going to click not in the box but outside and then use my move tool and drag it over top. Does that make sense? Don't click in the box. So I'm going to have text that goes in this box, but I'm not going to put the text in the box first. I'm going to put it here. Then I'm going to drag it there. And just watch, and you'll make mistakes too. So I'm going to use the text tool next. This is the text tool, the one that has the T right here. If I click on a T, if I come over here, look how the cursor changes. It's kind of square right there. If you look at the cursor right there, see how it's square? But if I roll my mouse over the shape, watch it. It turns into an I bar. These things called the I bar. And now it's round. And the reason why it's saying, hey, you want to put the text in that box. I don't want to put the text in that box. I don't want it to become part of the box. That's the problem, is it's going to take the text and make it part of the box. I want it to be a separate text that I can move anywhere I want. So instead of clicking up there, I'm going to click down here in the big white area. I'm going to click with my cursor, and I'm going to type in flower. Like that. Yours might be real tiny. If you want to change the font and size, it's up here. When you have the text tool, there is a size. There's a font. Maybe you want a nice font there. Maybe you want a different size. Fonts are measured in points. And when you're done putting text on, you can use the move tool now and move it up there. And the beauty of it not being attached, you can move it where you want. So see if you can put some text on the screen. I will come around and help you. And I will show you columns of text. I'm going to use the text tool again. This time before I start, I'm going to change my font to a nice normal font like Arial. Oh, I still had that selected. Notice how it changed that. And you're like, oh, I didn't want to do that. What do? Well, I can go under Edit, Undo. That's probably one of the best ways, or Command Z on the keyboard. And before I change my font, I'm going to click outside using the move tool. Use the move tool, click anywhere. That deselects things. Okay, next I'm going to use the text tool right here. This time again, before I use it, I'm going to change to Arial. I'm going to change the size to maybe 16 pixels or points and so on. And then this time, instead of just clicking with the text tool, I'm going to hold the left mouse down and drag and make a box. Do you see that? As it makes a box. And then it's center aligned right now. I might want it left aligned. Then if you want, you could steal text from the internet, and I often steal text from the internet. To steal text from the internet, I usually go to a browser. I could go, oh, my browser's still running, right? So if I go down here to my browser, my Firefox browser, I could go to Wikipedia, and we could type in flower, and then we could steal some text from Wikipedia. How about that? So if you highlight any text on the internet, you can do the same skills that we've learned already using the copy and paste. So if I highlight some text on Wikipedia, I can hit Command C on the keyboard, Command C, and then I can go back to my Photoshop, go back to my box or make a new box, and then paste is Command V. And there you go. Now, of course, the font is too big for this box, and I might have to change the size of it. There we go. Maybe a little bit smaller. Change the size of it. Change it. Oh, there we go. Change the size of it. Oh, still too big. Change the size of it. That's good. There we go. I don't know. Something like that. We can finish that part when we come back next week. We'll do some more like that. Or you just type in some text, whatever you want. Random text. But you should know how to copy and paste from a web page to a box inside of Photoshop. Let's save our file because we're running out of time. We got like 5 minutes. We got to go. So let's talk about saving files. So when you're in Photoshop or in Sketch or in Illustrator or any of those programs, usually you save as a Photoshop file or whatever Illustrator file so that it's a working file that I can open up again later so I can work on it. The downfall, of course, is that that working Photoshop file is something I cannot put on a website because it's not in the format to put on a website. So let's talk about saving. To save this file, I'm going to go underneath File, Save As. File, Save As. And then notice how it says Untitled PSD right here. And so I'm going to change that to my, my working comp, which stands for composition. It's just an idea of something I'm working on. But notice it still has PSD at the end for Photoshop. And so, again, that is a working file that you can open and change in Photoshop, but you can't put it on a website because the PSD file is not compatible with the browser. What is compatible with the browser? Well, of course, we have the standard files that we've been putting on the internet for years. JPEG, PNG, GIF, or God forbid we could use the SVG. So let's save it as a GIF, or JPEG, I'm sorry. Let's save it as a JPEG. To save this as a JPEG, I'm going to go underneath File, Save As. And in this case, instead of saying Format Photoshop, I'm going to change it to JPEG. JPEG. And you'll notice the extension for JPEG is JPG. And then save that. It's going to come up with a compression option. I'm going to leave it at the maximum right now, but we'll learn how we want to go down probably for websites and things like that someday. So JPEG stands for Joint Picture Expert Group, and let's hit save there. So again, that's all I want you to do for right now. I will save this video